Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2Mnet podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling. You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
Hello and welcome to a special Final Fantasy VII Remake Spoilercast. We probably should have done this at least like a week ago, but somebody's been taking forever to beat the game, so we had to do it now. But might as well take this time and I guess a lull in video game news to do it now before things keep increasing with this summer of gaming stuff that's going on. So joining me here with this Video Games to the Max special is, of course, the one and only always here with me, Sir Marc Morrison.
Howdy.
And also here, Mr. Jens Dietrich.
Hello.
And Randy Isbelle joins us again as well.
Hello.
Before we get started, because it happened early yesterday, I feel like for those of us that have some knowledge of who this man was and what he meant, I guess, to a site that we used to still write for, kind of still write for in my case. Larry Zonka of 41 Mania passed away. We were told about it early in the morning on Monday. He did have to have his leg amputated at some point last year, and I don't know if it's complications from that, or I know he was starting to, feel ill or what it was, but just want to reach, first of all, condolences to his family and everything he leaves behind, a wife and kids, which is always, painful, but Randy, I don't know how much you dealt with our former boss there, but any memories or anything about Larry or just reading his writing? He was a wonderful wrestling writer.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the guy I would always go to just to read recaps after I'd watch a pay-per-view, or if I just wanted to get caught up on a Raw or SmackDown and I didn't want to spend the hours to watch the whole thing. I'd just go on to his recap, and he was always really fair with that kind of stuff. But I was there at 411 full-time for like a year in the now defunct Sports Zone that they had, and would help out here and there on like the game section and wrestling section. So I didn't like work with Larry a ton, but when they first started doing podcasts and stuff, I know I was on the phone with him a bunch, and he was always just super helpful even back then. And I just, from all I've been able to read and stuff today from everyone that still works there and helps out there, that he was always there to help everybody. And obviously his fingerprints are all over that site. So, it's a sad loss, obviously, like you said, for his family and all that stuff too as well. But he was a great guy.
Mark, I don't know how many dealings you've had with him, because he doesn't.
Not a ton. Like I'd follow him on Twitter, and I would like needle him or joke with him occasionally. I don't even think he really knew who I was, because he didn't follow me, which I thought was funny. But that was about it. Jeremy kind of acted as the intermediary between us, but that was it.
Yeah, Larry was mostly a wrestling and he did a lot in the MMA zone as well. He was one of the major guys of why that zone functions and exists and is fairly big as well. But he had fingerprints everywhere, because when he wasn't, and it's amazing, he is going to have, I don't know if he will ever be able to be replaced. You talk, those, when someone that meant so much to something and you say it's going to take 10 people to do this one person's job, it might take 100 people to do what Larry did for that site. Every single night reviewing wrestling shows, and a lot of times even reviewing the stuff that like main event, super stuff that like, it's like, why the hell would you waste an hour of your time, reviewing this crap, and it's like, he does it, and it's, yes, he's getting paid for it and everything, but it's like, it's just a passion that man has, and a passion also for 411. This is a guy that's been there from the beginning of when 411 existed in 1996. So like, this show itself may not be affiliated with 411 anymore. But it exists because of 411. It was started by Stephen Randall, who was very much one of those 411, old legends that was around even before I was around. I've been there since 2006. And I still remember when he sent me the email, we were doing a wrestling column on MySpace when that existed, And he said,
MySpace is forever.
Yeah, MySpace. And he said, hey, no. We want you to bring the entire column over to the wrestling zone. And so that's kind of how I started. And I was there from the beginning of the game zone in 2007 when that was brought up, because they had a game zone before. I think it was called like the Black and White or something like that.
That's terrible.
Back in the early days, that didn't really go anywhere. And thanks to Ramon Aranda, who now works at 2K as part of their PR team, and Adam Lark, who's still the main editor there, that kind of was able to actually make some waves and then flourish a little bit. But I mean, it helps a lot to have the power of 411 itself, and just every day there's people there writing news, doing things, and Larry was a huge part of that. And it really hurt me today that's somebody that I thought I'm going to be hearing Marc talk about 411 and be like, oh, Larry's still doing his thing, and he's 43, and to hear about that this morning was just absolutely heartbreaking for me. So, yeah. So just wanted to take that time to kind of give him a little tribute and say thank you to him, because partially part of him and Ashish is the reason why this podcast is not affiliated with them, because they wanted to have their own podcast thing, and he was starting to really make a big deal with his podcast as well. And, just another thing that we'll see what happens now. Yeah. But it's just, it's absolutely just so crushing for that. But moving along from that, because I felt like by the time we get to Friday or Saturday, when the next show would post, there would be something new. But it's just like I felt like it's just it just happened. You might as well talk about it here on the show that we're doing.
Things are still raw, or things are in focus.
Yeah. So we are going to talk about Final Fantasy VII, do the spoiler cast. So if for some reason you plan on playing the game, or have not finished the game, or I don't know what other caveat to put here, there's going to be spoilers. There's also probably going to be spoilers for some parts of the original Final Fantasy VII. So if you wanted to go and play through other parts of the game that, are past Midgar, which Randy reminded me yesterday when he said he had played through the original just recently, that he got through Midgar in 4 hours playing the original game. So that shows you how much they put into this game that you're talking about. Did you actually did you use any of the new the things where you could take off like random battles and stuff like that, or did you just keep it?
I don't do that. I do the 3x sometimes. I think any old school RPG, if you bring it out, having the 3x is like mandatory. I platinumed Final Fantasy VIII and just lived on the 3x thing. And I think now that I'm out in the open world for Final Fantasy VII and you have to do some more grindy stuff and level up, 3x is amazing.
Yeah, I was pulling up a chapter list earlier just to remind myself of everything that happened in the game, and I accidentally pulled an original Final Fantasy VII chapter list up first, and I realized that Corneo's Mansion is like chapter 3.
Yeah.
So that's it's like
chapter 9
in 9 in this one. So yeah, it goes to show how the pacing is very different.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to just think about how much exactly they added, and to think about that, it's like, so Randy, who have the most, I guess, the recent experience with the original game. It's been a while for me. I know I always made it out of that Midgar section. I don't know how many times, and then how much I played after that kind of varied. But like you were mentioning, there are these little things that they added here and there that makes you go, man, they really did a lot what are those things that come to mind for you?
God, it's just so many set pieces and like character designs and stuff that I just didn't even think about playing the remake because it had been a while since I played the original. And then going back playing the original and getting through the mid-car section, they just stand out so much more. Like, oh my God, that was perfectly set up in the remake, just the way people would act and stuff. And there was a lot more in the Shinra building that I just had forgotten about.
Thank God I was going to say, thank God they got rid of that stupid switching mini game and the stealth sequence in that Shinra building.
Oh yeah. But I mean, just the way characters react, and I'm going to blank on his name. One of the bigwigs in Midgard.
Heidegger?
No, the one that does the weird butter in his tea thing.
Oh, that guy.
That's the space guy.
Yeah, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he has like 5 lines maybe in the original, and they give him this whole character, and I mean he doesn't have a huge scene or a huge part in the remake, but he's still a much bigger part. I think that's what I love about this whole remake is they take all of these little small bits and pieces and actually like full-fledged characterize them and make them feel much bigger in the story. And just going back, and like I said, I mean, I beat it in 4 hours. Yes, I had 3X on from time to time, but it's still a very small chunk of that original, and how much they just opened it up. And yes, there are some grindy parts and some boring padding and stuff, but for the most part, it's just so well done and so just beautifully revitalized, I think.
I mean, you said that, but like that's why I say that Final Fantasy VII R2 is going to be, they're going to have to have 15 parts of that game.
Well, it doesn't break up as neatly as Midgard does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that they're not going to go as deep in these parts. Like, I mean, Golden Saucer might be a little bit more expansive and stuff, but like you're not going to get the calm. Like if everything goes the way it's supposed to, and you get the calm, I don't think calm's going to be a 10-hour section.
What, you're not going to do
part 2?
You're not going to do the Junon Soldier minigame marching thing?
Oh, that'll be in there. I think you have to.
I guarantee that's in there.
Yeah.
If like all of the little goofy stuff that was in the original, like you're like they're not going to be able to pull that off in the remake. They not only pulled it off, they made it better. I mean, they made that whole wall market section the best part of this game.
Oh, I definitely agree. Like, Wall Market is, it feels like a lot of that stuff you did in the original, but it, feels like just, there's so much more, it feels like more alive, there's just, Rodea, I forgot his name. Rodea is just, he's cool.
Yeah, I will say that they made the squatting minigame worse.
You mean harder?
No, it wasn't. I mean, it was much harder. I mean, there's different stages to it, but I like the squat minigame music, but you never hear it when you're playing the game because you have the coach in the background. One more, you could do it. Yes, just like that. What do you do? I mean, he would not shut up the whole time. So I've had to go back and play it a few times because I was doing the trophy for getting all the dresses and stuff. And,
yeah.
And I would mute it when I would get to those sections because it was like that part would just drive me nuts.
Oh, the music's great. Yeah, like you said, you can't.
Yes.
Now, there are 2 different sports mini-games, right? There's squatting, and then there's one other one.
The pull-ups.
Pull-ups.
Yeah.
Pull-ups, right.
They're the same thing.
Well, they're not quite. You have to press them in a different order. Like
that's both of them because they're both randomized.
Yeah.
No, you're going around. You're kind of going triangle, circle, X, square.
They change it up when you go
X.
to the next stage or whatever, but it is the same.
Okay. Mm.
Well, no, okay, it's not randomized like Mark says. It's the same.
Well, Tifa's is randomized. I mean, the squatting one.
Yeah, the squatting is you're going in the square the whole time. You're just making a circle out of all the buttons. And then the pull-ups is they start moving things around, and it's a nice bump.
Yeah, so squatting to me was fine. It's actually a lot like the ice picking mini game from Fist of the North Star: Lost Paradise. So that felt very.
Which everyone here has played.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's basically the same mini game with the only difference that Final Fantasy VII does that thing where the buttons fade and you have to remember where you are as you're going around the circle. Which that's something. With the random order, I had to kind of to myself say out loud, like, okay, oh wait, it's circle X square, triangle, circle, X, square, triangle, circle, X, square. And I'd have to actually vocalize it in order to, like, not mess up.
Did you guys have problems with that minigame? Like, anyone?
Yes.
I didn't at all. Like, I failed like once or twice, but...
So
that's
squatting was fine.
Yeah.
The Tifa's pull-ups, that is a whole other level of crazy to me.
Yeah, that took me a couple of times. I think I lost like 3 or 4 times till I finally beat him.
I only lost once to that last guy, and that's because I lost by like 1. I was like, all right, I guess I have to like pay attention, and like the next time I beat him by like 3. I'm like, all right, well, I guess it was easier that time.
It's weird because I did really well at most of the mini games that the game presented. Like the darts, the motorcycle stuff, all that. But this is
I actually really didn't do well with the motorcycle thing.
Motorcycle is one of my that is chapter 4 is one of my favorite parts of the game, both for the spectacle and because I really enjoyed that sequence. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what else there is. There's that dance mini game when you're doing.
It's so amazing.
Which is fantastic.
Oh, I love that dance mini game. God, I wish you could like go back and like just do it a bunch of. I mean, I guess you can in the chapter selects, but it's like it's like one of those things. I wish it was a mini game you could just do over and over with like different songs or something.
I'm hoping that it's like a weird side game when you get to the Golden Saucer in the next one.
It's funny because it's such a simple QTE in essence, but it's all in the presentation.
Oh my god.
It's all in. It's so busy that like you barely even notice the prompt sometimes because it's part of the.
There was
part
sometimes
of the choreography.
I forgot to press because I got so enthralled with what was going on.
I got so focused on the buttons that I later had to go on YouTube when I got done with that playset and watch somebody else play it so I could actually watch what was going on because I was like trying my best not to get distracted by everything that was going on. That was a hilarious moment in that game.
It reminded me of a Yakuza karaoke sequence.
Oh yeah, totally.
Well,
It's funny because when I listen to people on Spoilercast talk about this game, they say this is Final Fantasy Yakuza. And Mark, I know you're a huge Yakuza fan, but now it makes me want to play this series.
Those ends, trust me. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I've played enough of it that I can also vouch that the side quests are very much the same way. Like, it's just like, oh, here's this, and it's random, and all right, here we go. And you can go to a place and play so many different mini games, and karaoke's one of the best ones, obviously. But yeah, it seems like they really did take a lot of the good things from those games and kind of say, okay, let's use them here.
All the stuff though that seems like Yakuza tonally is all stuff that was in the original. It's not like these are things that they added. These are things that were always there, and they just kind of feel simpatico. Just because Yakuza does crazy stuff like, oh, you have to cross-dress for this, and sing a song and do all this stuff that series has always done. It just kind of happens to be here as well. So I don't know how much of that is necessarily intentional. The quests felt a lot like Final Fantasy XV quests to me, with some of the same hang-ups where, especially in Chapter 14, where I didn't feel like I always knew where to go.
Or what
to do.
I would say Chapter 14, I didn't like that one at all. Like that and 17 were the chapters I really disliked in that game.
Oh man, which one was... You didn't like Deliverance from Chaos? I don't even...
17 is the one where we had switch party members constantly.
I love the switching party members.
Oh, that was a great chapter, I thought.
Me too. I loved it.
And that had a lot of good plot stuff, because they're in the room where Aerith's mother was held, so...
Yeah.
I mean, the story stuff was fine, but I mean, just like, the character switching stuff just went on for like way too long. You have to get like clear 3 floors with each like team, and I'm like, this is boring. Like...
Fair enough, I guess.
But yeah, 14 I didn't like because, I mean, like the minigame, or the side missions were fine, like the design of them, but like the game doesn't tell you where to go at all. And the mini-map is terrible, I think.
14, I just grabbed a guide and I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not even bothering with
the first thing I did was unlock the Chocobo fast travel system, and like that helps quite a bit, but I mean, if you didn't have that, you'd be screwed.
Yeah, it would take forever to get through a lot of these missions that you do in there. I mean, I like the one where you fight the behemoth underground. I like that one a lot.
That was fun.
Oh god. I think the thing I hated probably, I know we're like bouncing around. I wanted to have a structure, but I guess it is what it is. But the one I hated the most was going back into the sewer with the Corneo's secret stash, because I'm sitting there going the whole time like, oh my god, I'm gonna miss it. Oh my god, I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna get out of the stupid sewer. I'm gonna have to go back in the chapter select to get the stupid secret stash again. And so like the whole time I'm going, okay, no. Haven't gotten there yet. And then in the meantime, we're sitting there having to chase this one stupid rat around the whole time. And he keeps showing up constantly. And then you have to keep fighting various versions of the stupid rat. And it's like, then at the end, you have to fight, Abzu again with 1,000,000 rats there. And it's like, oh God. Like, I'm done with this. Like, and some of them, like, just were like really cheap too. I'm sort of going, I think I lost, I don't know how many times between the, what are those things? The Sagnaws or whatever?
The Salheens.
Salheens that freaking turn me into frogs.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I almost died. I was like, oh.
I don't know. The moment you get you just switch characters when you get turned into a frog. I don't see what.
No, I did, but there was a few times where they turned all 3 of my characters into frogs. I
had that happen once or twice until I realized, like, obviously see the puddle where the frog puddle. So it's just like, get out of that and then you'll be fine.
Oh, I don't think I've ever had my whole team be frogs. That's interesting. I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah. And then you can hop around, but you can also click hop for a second. That's about it.
You can you can headbutt them, I think, and you can
tail, tongue whip them or something like that.
Yeah.
I just enjoy seeing the frog designs of all the characters still carrying like an iconic piece of their equipment. I really like the look of them.
Yeah, that was it was just kind of like, all right, enough with this turning into frogs thing, and then the rat that keeps like spinning out of nowhere right when you're about to kill him. Like, oh, come on. So, yeah, I think for the most part, like, what did you guys, because I see that a lot of like, well, they added a lot of padding to this game, and there's so much that like, oh, you didn't have to have this or you didn't have to have that, and it makes the game take longer. I didn't necessarily feel that so much here. I felt like, I mean, yes, chapter 14 kind of slows you down a bit, but I feel like, especially with adding the caveat that what you do, the side quest you do, does make it feel like you are earning your trust of the people in the town, right? And they remember those things. Kind of took that away from me of saying, well, I feel like there was a little bit of purpose to what you're doing.
And honestly, I think that they put him in at perfect spots in the game as far as like ways to just kind of calm the situation down. Obviously, chapter 14's right after the plate falls. So, I mean, that's a big emotional moment. It's nice to have a nice little relaxing time before the big trek up to the Shinra Tower. The other 2 side mission stuffs are after the 2 reactors. So it's like you have these big boss battles and then kind of get some world building in it. I will agree with some of them. Some of them with the side quests, maybe there's too many if you're trying to do all of them. And then after a while, you're like, okay, I've done this enough. Can we please move it along? But I think at least as far as pacing wise goes, they put them in the right spots.
Oh yeah, like I thought Budding Bodyguard was perfect, following on building the Aerith Cloud relationship. I could have actually had had more of that, and again, kind of a perfect decompressor after that other Mako reactor mission.
And I think the side quests in that chapter especially really let you in on how good of a person Aerith is and how much she's meant to those slums and stuff. So it's a nice character building section for sure.
Yeah, and you get to see everything that she cares about, meet all her people. So you really feel a closeness. In general, spending more time with the townfolk makes it much more devastating, when that catastrophe happens.
Oh yeah, definitely. You wouldn't have any care at all for any of those people. Because that's one thing, the plate falling, maybe you can, I mean, I know people were complaining about the whole, what ends up happening with the trio, whatever, but it's like, I feel like between the plate falling and then the things that happen with Aerith and all that, like, if you didn't have those moments where you talk to some of those other town folk and all that stuff. Even the one with the cats. Like, so you see the one with the little girl later on.
Could have done without the cats or the missing children.
Yeah, the cat, well, either one. Like, but that's the thing. Like, when you're trying to go find the thing with the cats, that little girl later, when the thing's happening with the plate, she gets lost, and you have to find her and like have her get her. You see her with what's her name, Meryl,
Yeah.
and she takes her and
They're with the cats again, right?
yeah, the little girl with the cats. So like. All of that kind of ends up meaning something because when the plate falls and you see some of those characters by themselves there and you know, and then later when the thing with Aerith with the kids in the school and all that stuff, it's like, and even that has like a connection to Biggs that you find out later. It's like, all of that wouldn't have mattered squat if I didn't do some of these side quests. Just some of them are silly, like going to kill some rats and going to find cats and going to find kids and whatever. But I guess they make it kind of work.
Speaking of that school, did any of you guys find the teacher in Walmart?
No, I didn't. So the teacher winds up in the Walmart?
So there's a teacher that's part of the orphanage that talks to you. He's like, "Oh my God, I have to go. I have plans
teacher?
tonight."
There's like an older one, like a kind of a younger one.
The younger one.
Okay.
She talks to you about she needs to find the kids during the find the kids minigame, and she's like, "I have plans tonight. I have to go." Well, if you're searching around Walmart, she's in one of the alleys. She actually works in the Honeybee Inn.
Oh wow!
And she's in the honeybee suit and like smoking and stuff. It's great.
I think the Board of Education might want to know about that.
Got another Kawakami right here.
Yeah. Right, but and then, you know, the thing is, too, like, there's little mini games there with the kids, too, where you, like, destroy the blocks.
Yeah, I did that like my first try. I didn't know it was supposed to be, like, hard, because I read a guide that was like, you need to get 30,000 points to get everything, and I was like, okay, and I got like 32,000 in my first run. I'm like, all right.
Nice going.
Pro gamer.
Yep.
And they make the Moogle merchant is almost just as good as the ones you find in the towns.
No, he is the best one.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's another one of once you find the kids, you get that. So it makes those Moogle medals worth something that people are probably unlocking and going, "What the hell do I do with this?"
Right. Yeah. And they did a good job with that because it was in the demo. You find one. And you're like, what the hell is a Moogle medal? And they make you wait a while. I have a question for you guys. Did any of you guys have a Mandela effect with that first chapter?
You mean in the sense of the new stuff, the Sephiroth stuff?
No, as far as the boss, like I remember playing the demo, and I even remember seeing people complain about this in the demo, that the timer didn't start until the boss battle was done. And I was always under the impression in the original that it started and then you did the boss battle.
No, the timer. I distinctly remember the timer starting as soon as the boss battle started in the demo as well.
No. It starts after.
Yeah, because you beat the boss and then you set the charges and then you run out.
Yeah, the boss sets the timer. But for some reason in my head, in the original game, I thought the timer started and then the boss battle started.
Oh, so that's what I'm remembering of the game now.
You might be thinking about Final Fantasy VIII because that's what they did there.
Yeah. But so going back and replaying it, I'm like, oh crap, no, the timer didn't start. Because I'm going like 20 minutes is so long just to escape this thing. They should have had it part of the boss, but no, it was that way in the original. I had a completely Mandela effect where I'm like, I swear this is how this was, but nope, it wasn't.
I'm feeling Mandela affected right now.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel like when you played the demo, right, and you played it in the game itself, like, when do you finally get anything like, okay, we played this already. I want to get on with the experiencing what I haven't experienced yet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it felt like oh, okay, I know this, come on. But that's why I generally don't play demos for things if I already know I'm going to play them. But, with Final Fantasy, it was a slightly different matter.
Just had to get a hold of it.
But yeah, I definitely had that feeling. But on the other hand, it felt much easier to say, having done the boss in the demo, it was.
You just refine your battle tactics and kind of skip along. Like,
have any of you guys tried hard mode yet?
No, because I can't. Like, you can't use items, and like you can't replenish your HP at all. And I was like, nope.
Not
your
HP,
MP.
Or
SP.
MP, yeah.
Or MP,
Yeah.
I should say.
Yeah,
SP.
you can get your MP from crates and stuff, and there's some items that can help you do that. I've done a few chapters. I think I'm through chapter 5, maybe 6. But yeah, it is. I mean, it makes you think of materia a lot more. I mean, the bosses just don't have like more HP and can hit harder. I mean,
You hit
they
new
change
attacks,
their
right?
tactics, and like the whole first boss. Like I felt good going through the first chapter again on hard. I'm like, oh, I got this, and then I get to the scorpion and it kicked the holy crap out of me because I just didn't have my materia set. It makes you really, really think.
Yeah. Oh no, that's good. I mean, I'm glad, like, because there are a lot of people that are complaining about, oh, hard mode shouldn't have been locked. You know, they should have let you play on hard mode at the beginning. And it's like, no, because this is a different hard mode. It's not. It's almost like the Kingdom Hearts like critical mode. It's you know,
it's a new game plus basically.
With
you take your stats over and everything's different.
Yeah, isn't everything basically level 50?
You want to be level 50.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the cool thing. Once you
but you get level 50
game,
as you go through, though, because I mean, I was level 35 when I beat the game.
Yeah, and then once you beat the game, then it's double experience points and triple AP or something.
Yeah,
they want you to get to level 50. That's for sure.
Yeah, what did everyone finish the game as, like level wise? Because you said 35.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm right around where Sean was. I think
I was
maybe 37, but
I was 38, and like not Sephiroth, but the Rufus and dogfight, I thought was like supremely easy. Like I one-shotted Rufus essentially, and I was just like, what? Like I staggered. I killed the dog first, and then
he wasn't hard in the original game, though.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it should take more than one limit break.
I had to use like 2 or 3.
I staggered Rufus. That was like the annoying part. Is just he kept reloading, and like it's hard to stagger him. But then once you did that one braver, and he gets instantly staggered, I had a limit break ready. I used that, and he was done. Like I literally killed him in one hit, or like after the limit break is over. And I was like, what? Like, okay.
Speaking of boss battles and staggering and stuff, were any of you guys frustrated that every time you would face a boss, you get them really close to a stagger bar, and then they go, no, cutscene. Oh, look, my stagger meter's gone. Ha ha, I tricked you.
Yep. I'm like, oh, come on.
I did that every time. I fell for that trick every time. All the way to Sephiroth.
What's everyone's favorite boss? I feel the one that really challenged me the most and kind of forced me to really engage with all the systems is that Hell House with rotating weaknesses, where you basically have to kind of go in with all the elemental materia and use them at the right time.
It took me a long time to figure out when he was on, like, because Thunder and Blizzard kind of look similar until he does where the Thunder comes out, and I'm just kind of like, oh. By the time I would figure out what he was on, he'd switch again. I'm like, oh my god, die already.
Yeah.
Or he was in stupid god mode.
Right. I think Hell House was my favorite boss, but Abzu was the first one where I had the Jens moment of, okay, now we're not playing around anymore. And that was more just, it took me probably 2 or 3 times of just straight stupidity to realize that one of his moves was coming out of one side of the room. Mm-hmm. I just thought it was just a complete sweep, and then I got lucky and he did it.
You can actually avoid
hit me, and I went, oh, this is way easier now. Okay, cool. But it was like that first time where I'm like, okay, game, I get it. Let's go.
I would say my favorite was probably the Reno and Rude fight.
They're good. They're really good.
Yeah. I like the one I like both of the ones in the train graveyard. The big ghost and what's his name? The dude with the chariot that flies.
Yeah, and he was like a normal fight. He was like a normal enemy in that game.
I loved that whole chapter, Haunted. Wonderful chapter. So this is one, Randy, you having replayed Original 7 lately. People always complained about this train graveyard.
I'm one of them. I thought that area sucked.
Why?
Because
it's 2 screens.
Because the game doesn't tell you which trains you can manipulate well. Like, I had to go around constantly, like, hitting X on trains and hoping it would move, or, figuring out which trains I can jump into and which trains I can't.
If you hit the select button or whatever, and it...
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, it still didn't really help me that much. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's just the first screen, nothing moves, and the second screen, two of them move. But I mean, again, playing the original again, it was so short. I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm with Sean. That chapter was really fun, and the stuff that they did to it was really great. And it probably had my best piece of music in the game, which I can't find anywhere.
Oh, the one where you fight, the one right before you start fighting the chariot dude, right?
Yeah, where you see the helicopter go over your head, and you see Rufus and all them, and all of a sudden you start hearing their theme mixed with the theme that was going on, and it was just amazing. And I went through their entire soundtrack, and I can't find a thing.
You've gone through the 7/8 CD soundtrack?
Mm-hmm. I think it's honestly that they just took the two songs and they mixed them.
Mm-hmm. It's probably in that soundtrack. It says they haven't released that on YouTube yet.
Oh, I know Chunks did. Well, no. So I have the sampler.
Yeah.
Because the sampler is what came with the special edition. But the CD set's not. I'm not going to have that until the end of the month, beginning of next month.
Oh.
So I think like by June we'll start seeing it on YouTube. But I think But I've only seen the demo, either the demo part, or even the demo disc, or the samplers on there, but not everything.
So that would be Disc 5. Disc 5 has a couple of tracks. It's got 4 tracks from this section. It's got Train Graveyard, Haunted, Come On This Way, which might be the track we're looking for, and then Ghoul, which is going to be the boss fight.
Yeah, that's probably it. Come On This Way. Yeah, so it's like, and I also love the Genova fight. I mean, it felt like it took a while, but I really enjoyed just the different facets of what she throws at you and stuff. It was fun. Made me have to think.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like the Sephiroth fight wasn't very hard, but you know.
No, but he was just very powerful. But like, his actual attacks were pretty blocked. You know, like you just kind of screw around with him a little.
Yeah, like, honestly, I think his fight was more for show than anything.
Yeah, it's like some of those Kingdom Hearts fights that like are just kind of there.
Let me ask everyone, who did you mainly stick with, like when you were fighting? I mean, I know everyone switches around, but like, who was kind of your main character?
Cloud.
Yep.
Yeah, because he was the one with the counterattack. So, I mean, of course it'd be Cloud.
I use Barret a lot.
I use him for like range stuff or like healing, but I mean, as far as like getting, like, I've seen people like get into Tifa, and I'm just like, I never quite figured how to play her correctly, or just. I mean, I could do stuff with her, but like it just always felt a little awkward.
Oh, I think Tifa's really good, actually. But yeah,
I think she's very situational. Let's say that.
That's true.
Cloud is like the mainstay.
Well, yeah, he's balanced as opposed to the other ones that all had their own thing that you use them for. You know, like Tifa's great at like you need close combat or something to like kill really fast. You put her in and like, she just tears through people. And like Barret, you got the ranged and he helped me out so many times of just, Cloud's getting clobbered. Let me go over here, fill up my ATB, and just absolutely blast somebody with one of his specials or something, and then I can glow back.
I barely used Barret. I always, for range stuff, whenever I could, I would just use Aerith and do spells.
I used Barret a lot because he was basically the ranged tank of the game. Like, he could get the most HP, and then, I used him as like my ranged attack and heal.
Interesting. I barely used him for healing.
I stuck because he was always the one furthest away from the boss, so I switched to him with like magnifying heal. He would heal everyone, and then that was it.
Makes sense. But that brings me back to why I like Chapter 17, because that's one that actually, which I know Marc said was boring, but it actually forces you to kind of play each character individually and get through those sections, you know, with a non-balanced kind of
like
loadout.
That battle with the frickin' tank that moves, and you're having to use 2 range characters, and it's like, oh, great, I'm here with. I mean, Barret's great in that fight, but it's also like, it's Aerith, and I'm trying to make it to where hopefully she doesn't get killed, and
I like those actually, because it was like, now you figure out how to do it this way, kind of thing, you know.
Well, and I love like the character moments too, like the Tifa and Aerith getting to team up and have the like girl power time and all that. Like you don't get that you don't ever get any of those moments in the original, you know.
There's so much great bonding between the secondary characters in this. It's almost too many of those moments to count. where it's just, you get. I think the Tifa Aerith stuff is my favorite, but there was also a lot of good stuff with Wedge and Jesse early on. I
can't wait for the sequel when we get more Red 13 and Barrett.
I feel God, they're so great. I love them. Like, Barrett immediately, like, he doesn't like anyone immediately, but he likes Red 13 immediately. And he's like, oh, I kind of get you, lab rat dog. And I was like, oh, you got me with that. And
if you humor Barrett's crazy rants, Barrett's gonna like you. If you humor his politics.
And what is it like? I love his line when he's gonna get in the van, the truck, and he's like, "Oh, here I am with a piece of shit" or something like that. He's
like, "Where'd you get this piece of shit truck at?"
He's like, "And you're the one talking," or something like that. I'm like, "Oh God, this is great." So, and Aerith and Cloud are great as well because she messes with it. She needles him a lot. And she has a lot more personality, I feel like, in this.
If you ever want to watch a powerful thing, go watch the voice actor for Aerith play the game. Like, people have made clips and stuff. Yeah. And just her reactions of playing herself in that game and hearing her voice and stuff. She seems like a sweetheart. And she did an amazing job with this character.
Yeah, she says that there's a part in there when they have the flashback of Cloud. She, says Zach, but they muted it, so you couldn't hear her say it. And she actually, says it on there. She's like, well, we actually recorded that line where she says it, but they apparently muted it when you play the game. So, it was
Cloud has this weird little headache thing that kind of fudges it.
Yeah, so we're going to have to talk about all this stuff that they've added and changed.
So
but,
how did you guys feel about that from cause you get that first time you really get that is you get to explore more of that first area that's very short in the original where he kind of fights those guards and you actually get to go throughout the whole city and that's where it instantly felt like, oh wow, this is a big game. This is a bigger deal than, that's when that first time I go, cause the Mako Reactor kind of feels very the same.
Yes.
It just feels like a bigger version of that. Whereas you finally get out into that city and you go through that part where you're killing and you can actually go to various parts of that city and kill different, soldiers that aren't even near where I guess they want you to really walk. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, oh, okay, this feels like they really fleshed it out, and then you get to experience it more, but that was first a cool moment.
Oh yeah. I was more getting at what they're building up to, which is the first appearance of the Whispers. And of Sephiroth, since we were talking about Cloud getting his headaches. So, how do we all feel about these Whispers kind of showing up at most of the pivotal moments of this story to try and guide it in the familiar direction, I guess would be the way of putting it. So, it's kind of, to me it felt almost like a way to paper over how just as a result of the higher fidelity or the geometry being different or things being slightly different, that okay, this sequence still has to happen the way that it happened. So let's have the Whispers here to facilitate that, to block these characters from getting from point A to point B so that this event can occur like it did, or to force someone out of an area, or any of the many, many instances that they appeared.
The Whispers will just be the comic book guy from The Simpsons yelling about continuity.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what they are as well, right? They're the people that really wanted this to be a faithful remake, and they're getting.
Do you think the Whispers represent the people who wanted a faithful remake?
Yeah, or
in a way, yes.
Yeah,
but that's deeply ironic if true, because
supposedly yes, that is sort of like a theory.
Well, because most of the time they hinder, but a few times they actually do help you. They bring Barrett back to life. I mean,
that's true. You think they're hostile for most of the game, even though they don't always hurt you, and then towards the end they suddenly
technically they saved. I think they saved Wedge and they killed him. So,
well, they're kind of like the. I mean, there are a few Doctor Who aliens that are like that too. So
and Jessie, I guess they stopped her from.
Yeah, well, they killed her.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not only did
we don't know that, right? We don't know that.
I mean,
they didn't.
They also
set
it up
where.
So, oh yeah, that's fine. they are the reason why Cloud was able to go on the second mission.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. They brought Jesse
They hurt her
there.
ankle. So here's the thing that I've done a lot of research and stuff, and I think Sean, did you ever watch that thing I sent you from?
I watched parts of it, but I haven't been able to watch all of it.
The Easy Allies or whatever with Maximilian dude, who is just phenomenal and he knows his stuff. But if you ever want like an in-depth thing about the theories on this game, go listen to that podcast. Their Final Fantasy VII Spoilercast with him, because that dude went nuts for 2 days and learned all this stuff. So basically, and I agree with a lot of it. I'm way into it. So the Whisperers are, like you said, the people that want it to be exactly like the original. That's why they made sure Jesse got hurt so Cloud could go on the attack. That's why they were trying to like stop Wedge from leaving so he would get crushed by the plate, but he still survived. So then they come back later to try to get him. It was Final Destination stuff. But they're mostly there because the theory is that the Sephiroth that for the most part, that we see in this game is not the original Sephiroth.
Yeah, he's number 2.
He is Sephiroth from Advent Children, who got resurrected by the stupid kids and knows what happens to the original Sephiroth. So now he has gone back and is doing everything he can to fuck up the timeline so he can win, which is why you see Sephiroth there in Chapter 2 when right after you get out of the reactor and he takes Cloud down that fiery path and got in his head and stuff, because his whole plan is to make sure Cloud does not meet Aerith. So he tries to distract him as long as possible, and she starts to walk off, and those Whispers come in and
they
mess
make sure
with
they
her
meet.
to keep her in the spot.
So does that also kind of address why is Sephiroth so chummy with Cloud, where it seems like they have a long history. He keeps kind of trying to either help or block Cloud from doing things.
Yeah, he is.
Well,
and
because he knows Cloud is the main.
They grew up together, which is all new, right? They didn't grow up together originally.
No, I don't think he said that they grew up together. I think they know each other.
Or they trained. When Cloud became a soldier, he trained under Sephiroth. Sephiroth was his mentor, I guess I should have said.
Right, which he wasn't.
Which he wasn't in the original. So, I don't know. Okay. I realized that Nomura had always talked about how this was going to be a reboot/sequel. Like, it was never going to be a pure reboot. And that they were going to do something to build on the expanded lore. So I guess that is what they've done here. I guess to me, it felt a little tacked on throughout the game whenever the Whispers would appear.
I only thought it felt tacked on right at the very end when the Whispers are covering the entire building. And I'm like, all right, this is getting a little anime, guys.
Well, I mean, you got to think of it at that point that Sephiroth's going completely rogue at this point, and stabbing Barrett and doing all that. So then it's that whole thing, which is also why, with the whole stuff with Zack at the end, that he sees all of that going on, because such an event is happening that it is now screwing up all of the timelines, which who knows what that's going to do.
Yeah, so we've got, is that an alternate Cloud at the end?
That's
the ending
okay. So that's all. The ending is
that's
an alternate timeline. Like that's obviously not this timeline.
And they show that with the bag of chips that you see fly by.
Right.
They purposely slow it down so you can see that's a different beagle.
Yeah, it's a different stamp. Obviously, Biggs lived. You can see Jesse's Jesse's bandana's there, so she didn't die either. Like,
So how worried are you all about the fact that Final Fantasy VII Remake may be about to pull some J.J. Abrams shit?
No.
Well, I think first of all, also I think Aerith knows a lot more than she's letting on. And that's another part of it too, is that Aerith seems to know things.
Well, now she does.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it feels like Aerith knows things that she doesn't even know in the original. Like, she knows what Sephiroth's trying to do.
Oh yeah.
And so that both of them are past selves. Like, both of them are people that know what happens in the past and are trying to.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't think Aerith can straight out say things.
Right, exactly.
What is
because anytime she tries to, right, the Whispers show up.
Mhm.
What's the? There's a movie out there that I'm just blanking on, where somebody like knows the truth of the future, and he goes, "If I tell you your future, it won't come true."
Next,
It-
a Nick Cage movie.
I
Ah,
don't think
Did that
that's
happen
it. I
in
mean, I'm sure they did it
Looper
there
or
too.
whatever too?
I honestly
I'm
don't
sorry.
remember, but
Hmm.
but anyway, so basically it's that. So she has been told by the planet that Sephiroth is back and is really trying to mess with the timeline, but she can't straight up say it. So she's telling Cloud, listen, you can't fall in love with me because that's gonna fuck things up. And it's like everything Sephiroth is telling you is bad, and we have to stop him at all costs. I mean, it's
Yeah. And we're also
It's
trying to change the future. Like, we're trying to change fate also. So,
yeah. So I think, I mean, the ending is. I wish they would have explained it a little bit more. I'm fine with an open-ended ending like this, but
it just
thinking
seems
of-
like they set up a vastly different remake.
they could. But I think they could. But I do think it'll still follow the main things. They'll just be able to change things here and there. But trying to look at it like somebody has never played Final Fantasy VII, that ending has to be the most confusing thing ever.
I saw someone on Twitter going like, "Wait, who's Zach?" Like she had no clue who Zach was.
yeah,
Right.
that doesn't get, I mean, mostly, okay, for one, I think they don't do a good enough job. They should have done something to explain a little bit of who Sephiroth is, I feel like, if you're a new player. Like,
I mean, they
all of
already
us
give you so
know.
much more.
No, they tell you
Not
nothing.
Sephiroth.
But
They
they don't
nothing
tell
about
you
Sephiroth.
anything of who Sephiroth is. Here's this guy, he just shows up, he's messing with Cloud, and you're like, who the hell is this guy?
Well,
Like,
you know that he and Cloud have a past. You know that they trained under each other. You
No, you
know
don't.
that.
No, you
You
don't.
don't. You see bare hints of like the flashback when Tifa, well, like when Tifa was a kid, but you see
Right.
nothing of Sephiroth.
Yeah, but Cloud talks about how Sephiroth was his mentor, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't.
Because even like even if you take Crisis Core into account, like Sephiroth is like barely in that game, and
Yeah,
Sephiroth
so
is barely in.
basically, you don't learn anything about Sephiroth in the original until he goes into Calm and you get in the hotel, and that's when he tells you.
Right, in the original,
So-
but here it's like Sephiroth and Cloud have a connection right from the start.
You know that
Like
they
the
have
first time-
some kind of connection, but you don't. It never gets explained why. Right? You're waiting for Cloud to say that the whole time.
The first time you even hear Sephiroth's name being mentioned is like the space guy from Shinra going like, "Hey, I saw Sephiroth in the hallway. He's going to the head." Like that's like the first time you actually hear his name being mentioned.
Yeah.
And it's like chapter 17.
Right, you see people make allusions, like, Hojo laughs at the fact that, there's Sephiroth, ooh, yeah, but like he doesn't mention him by name either. It's like, I feel like if you're a new player, that kind of was, you're going like, why the hell does this guy exist here? Like, what is he, So I
mean, I've seen some insane stuff about how Sephiroth is a manifestation of Cloud's schizophrenia. That like Cloud is having a breakdown of some kind.
No,
and
because other people see him also. So
and that the real well, right, once again, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of bizarre theories.
Yeah, certainly. I think that's part of it too. Is just
I could have. Am I just completely misremembering?
Yeah, because you don't see Sephiroth in that part at all in the original until you see the trail of blood. Or
I mean, Randy, you just finished it. How much do you see Sephiroth and Midgar in the original Final Fantasy?
Very, very little.
Yeah.
So Zack was Cloud's mentor, right, in the original game?
Yeah.
Right, so here...
Well, let me ask you, did you ever play Crisis Core? Yeah.
Well, remember that, like, what actually really happened, and Hojo hints at it, is that you were never really in Soldier. You basically took over Zack's
no, that was the
mind.
end. Did you ever play Crisis Core?
No.
Okay, yeah, that delves into it way more. Yeah, like, Cloud is like, a second-rate soldier. Not even a soldier, he's like a guardsman or something. And Zack is the one who rescues him. And, like, I think Cloud gets poisoned by the Mako. That's why he has the eyes, but he's not really a soldier. And then Zack gets killed by Shinra at the end.
So it's all stolen valor in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, so he takes Zack's, like...
No, he takes Zack gives him his sword, but like Cloud gets poisoned and he thinks he's like Zack.
Okay.
Secretly.
Yeah, his memories kind of get implanted into Zack or whatever, so he doesn't really know who he actually is.
As someone who doesn't remember 7 well and didn't play most of the kind of expanded lore games,
I mean, Crisis
it
Core
seemed
is
to me like Remake was heavily implying what Sephiroth and Cloud's past was. But I may have just been imagining that.
At the end of 7 Remake, they literally remake the Crisis Core ending.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Except
so Sephiroth and Zack have a past.
Except for like way shittier voice acting. I thought Zack's voice actor was terrible in that sequence.
Huh.
I was like, holy shit, what they do?
Well, I mean, they said they were going to get new. I guess going into that, like, how do you feel about the voice acting? Because they used all different people, right? They didn't use having children.
Well, I made the joke to at least 2 of you guys that like the guy playing Sephiroth is great, but I want Lance Bass back.
The guy playing Sephiroth is Superman from the...
Yeah, your favorite actor.
Yeah, I do not like him at all in that show, in Supergirl.
Tyler Hakim or whatever his last name is.
Yeah, I was, when I realized he was Sephiroth, I was like, okay, I like this a little less now.
He only says like 10 lines, but he was fine, I thought.
Fair enough.
I felt like everybody was good. Like, Barrett is very...
cartoonish.
He's very cartoonish, but I feel like
that's so good.
He's much more a real person.
He is much more humanized. I feel like by the time you get to the end of the game, than he ever was.
He basically starts off as kind of a caricature, but then he becomes like a person, a real boy at the end.
Yeah.
So, well, I think from the start, the thing I like about Barrett in this, that it's obvious that he's read Praxis. Like, he's actually, like, he's got his little red book, and he's quoting theory from it at people. He's not just... In fact, everything about the remake politically just seems deeper than what I don't remember the old game.
Yeah, Avalanche was just that group in the original.
There's no
this
organization.
They're like just a part of a bigger organization, which is cool.
You get the feeling in this organization, like they're kind of the fuck ups, like the original, like the bigger brand, like the bigger organization doesn't want to deal with them because I don't want to deal with Barrett.
Yeah, well, they even mention that though. They say, "Oh, we're kind of like the ones that they act like don't exist," or Red says some kind of line to that effect, and then they have to come and save them when they go into the Shinra building that first time. And
that was cool when a bunch of other Avalanche people show up to bail them out.
I thought the mayor sequence is really cool, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's I think it's just there's just so much here that would take us hours and hours to really go through. But it's like even the small things, like I think adding like Chadley there to give you extra like incentives to do things.
Who maxed him out? Did anyone here do that?
I did not.
I literally need to get my revive spell material up, and then I have him maxed out.
He has like 19 quests, and like 18 of them are doable, except for like the one that's like max out one of every materia, and it's like this will take forever. Like
it's only the green ones. It's only the green materia that you have to do one of each.
The elemental.
It's just the revive one is so hard.
Yeah. Well,
because there's so much there.
You slap AP up on it, and then it goes faster, but still.
Yeah, it's still a lot, and I'm slowly working on it. But what did you guys think of Roche?
He's barely in it. As I said,
who is he? Like, I don't remember.
The motorcycle guy.
Motorcycle soldier.
Oh, I thought he was actually really interesting.
I was so disappointed that he was only in that chapter. I really thought he was going to be in several.
I thought he'd come back when you did the motorcycle thing again.
I thought
he didn't. Yeah.
I thought he'd be kind of like, he was like a guy that was like, I want to kill Cloud myself, or he could help you out occasionally, like basically the Goku, Vegeta relationship or something. But he's in there once and that's it. And
hopefully, he'll be in the sequels, hopefully. But
they're setting him up to be a big bad later for sure. I really enjoyed that boss fight, and I enjoyed his setup as a character. But disappointed that he did not reappear. But again,
love that he had all of the motorcycle tricks that you see in Advent Children.
Yeah. Well, they had something to take from there. So.
Well, they took a lot, actually, more than you think.
Man, that was not the easiest trophy doing that thing with 80% health.
Yeah,
because he'll wreck you with some of his attacks.
Or if not,
that's why you go back and play it on easy.
Ah,
yeah, you can do that too. I hated that boss fight with the stupid the big bike thing that basically ends the original game.
Yeah.
God, I hated that thing.
It's got like the motor ball or something. But
Belly of the Beast.
The motor ball.
I loved Belly of the Beast.
Well,
no, I liked the chapter. I hated that boss fight.
Oh man,
I thought it was helpful that I think Red 13 kept healing you though.
Yeah, I didn't think that boss fight was particularly. I thought it was a nice bit of spectacle. I really enjoyed it for that.
It was one of the boss battles. I was like, okay, the spectacle's done. Let's go. It went a little long for me, but all I know, guys, is after playing this, I have a more. It's not a good movie still, but Advent Children is a lot more important.
Yeah, it's still a very boring movie.
I mean, you still have to watch the complete edition because I still don't understand how they the complete edition was like, here's 30 minutes more movie, and I'm like, okay, there's more fight scenes. No, it's the 30 minutes that's explain the fucking movie. It's the whole plot of the movie, which is still not great, and the characters are rough. But
I have not seen the complete edition. I've only seen the confusing as hell original version.
It's still slightly confusing after the complete edition, and the characters are still kind of But as far as the way Final Fantasy VII Remake's going, it is definitely after Advent Children, and it shows it a lot. I like the theory that the 3 elemental guys you fight at the end, when you're in the Fates world.
The big time battle or whatever.
The Fate stuff,
Yeah. That the theory is that those 3 Fate guys are the 3 guys from Advent Children.
Well,
I mean, that's a theory,
Their colors are blue, red, and yellow. I just thought they were the nephews from DuckTales.
Perfect. That works too. And also, I guess I need to go back and watch it, but I went back and watched that podcast again. But I guess when right at the very end, when Sephiroth is talking to Cloud and about that whole 7 seconds, what are you going to do with it thing?
Yeah, 7
Cloud
seconds.
asks if Sephiroth is real, and Sephiroth touches Cloud, and Cloud grabs his arm in the exact same spot where he had the geostigma in the movie. So I'm like, God, they're just throwing so much Advent Children in this game.
Well, there's a scene when Sephiroth falls off the building and he lets the Whispers catch him, where you see the 2 on his shoulder for a second. I just thought he was a clone or something.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's Nomura all over. He's great. That's a hallmark of Kingdom Hearts, of throwing different things from previous games or whatever. He is very good at that. So it doesn't surprise me at all that he is putting in things from other, 7 lore in there and just using that to perfection, because he's great at doing little touches like that. So,
it's the bigger story that'll have the problem.
Yeah, that's what I worry about. Is I'm very scared of not necessarily that they'll put in this allows them to kind of do whatever they want, which they won't do. I don't think they're going to. I think that they know that if they really went that route, it's going to hinder the games as they go on. I think you will get most of this is what happened in those areas. You'll still get to do a lot of that stuff, but it gives them a little license. Go ahead.
I think one thing that'll make way more importance is Yuffie and Wu-Tai. They kept bringing it up over and over, and
they said Wu-Tai way more.
In the original game, it's barely said at all. You go there, and
you don't even know what the hell Wu-Tai is for. I think in the original game, of course, also you get to a certain point where you can kind of go get Yuffie whenever you want. It doesn't really matter, I guess.
You just find her in the forest, and she robs you a few times, and then
I think
both Vincent and Yuffie will be tied into the story this time. They will not just be optional characters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because Vincent's so big in Advent Children as well.
I think the only time Wu-Tai is even said in the original one in Midgar is Ares' foster mom says it.
Yeah. He's like, after the war with Wu-Tai or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's the only time I even noticed it be said, and it's said a lot in the remake. So we're talking about the next stuff. So I'm curious. So obviously the first part was just Midgar. If they're going basic beats as far as the original storyline goes, where do you think is a good stopping point for the second part?
When Aerith dies.
I don't think they can even go that far yet.
I think they might even prolong the Aerith dying.
I think Aerith will die, and that'll be the hardest stop ever. It'll be like immediately be like insert disc 3, or wait. It'll continue on in 3 years or something like that.
I don't know. I just think that they're going to do something where her death gets delayed, and they have her die later, so you don't know exactly when.
Okay, she might not die, but they'll still make it to the ancient temple.
That's fair. I honestly think that they're going to stop at the Golden Saucer. I think they're going to have a bunch of mini games and stuff there that after you beat the story, then a lot of things you can go back and... Because they've said that it's going to be a little bit smaller than they were hoping for already, so I think that's a good stopping point because you can add a lot of mini game stuff there.
But I think getting Aerith is like to the ancient temple isn't that much further in the story. Like it's Kate says Jack's materia, and then they go to the ancient temple anyway. So it's not like it's like 40 more hours of them hunting it down. It's like it's like just the next big area, or it's like the stupid forest and then the temple.
I don't know. It just depends, right? Because like Nomura says he wants it to come out faster, but that means they have to add less stuff. It can't be as big.
I don't think it'll be open world.
No, it won't be. No, I don't think so either. I think that's one thing that they're going to dispel very quickly. They say they're looking at it, but I just don't think that they're truly looking at it. I think that what you got in Midgar is what you're going to get. Like, you're going to get, you might get more chances to explore. Like, you might have more chapters where you actually go out and do things, than in this game where you only had like really 3. And maybe there's a little bit of Final Fantasy 15 where you can kind of, there's a little bit of a hub where you can go around and, I don't think there's going to be an overworld. I think it's too complicated for them. It's too much for them to try to do.
I think what they could do, anyone remember Assassin's Creed 2?
Yeah.
Like, there were like three cities in that game. You could kind of travel between all 3 of them. And I think like they were smaller than like Brotherhood, like Rome. But I think they'll do something like that.
Just jump to a chocobo. Jump on a chocobo, get to the next area.
Or maybe you can drive a really cool car.
Sure. What are things that you guys want to see different in the second one?
It's been so long since I played those parts of the game.
No, I just mean from the original. I'm talking about differences in the gameplay that we had in this one.
I mean, there were some mini games in original Final Fantasy VII that I thought were like terrible, like the Cosmo Canyon tower defense mini game. It's like I love
Fort Condor. What are you talking about?
No.
I mean, they could improve that some, so it's not so kind of generic. But I'm down with that. Like, I think they're gonna have to include that. Yeah, snowboarding. That's gonna have to be in.
Do you think the Chocobo race will be completely random this time, or you think it'll be like race? It'll be like an actual game.
I think it'll actually be a game because they'll have the ability to make that bigger.
Yeah.
It could be a passive thing, like some of the, like stock car races or whatever that stuff in Yakuza is, where you're like you're kind of optimizing.
Yeah, when you use boost and brake and all that stuff.
Yeah, you're optimizing your parts for a particular racetrack, and you're triggering certain things.
Would it be like press X to boost or press X to give the truck carrot? But you only have 5 per race.
Yeah, I'd expect something like that, potentially. It'd be crazy if you could actually control the Chocobo, like directly.
Right. Going back to
I think, Randy, you were getting... Oh,
yeah,
sorry. I think Randy was getting at how do we want them to tweak the current game mechanics?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how do we want them to innovate on the RPG gameplay?
I know you guys, or at least some of you liked it. I didn't like that weapon upgrade system.
I really like it.
I liked the idea of it, but I actually thought like navigating the stupid circles was really annoying. So if it's just like a menu or like just a big sphere grid instead of just three of them that have like these nodes on it, that's like, okay, I have to just keep cycling between these.
I do agree with Mark. It was a little bit of I had to go in a circle and then I had to be reading the thing to tell me which one had what and to remember which one I had that hadn't been unlocked yet.
And it's always like, well, I always want to unlock the new materia slot, so I have to keep cycling until I find that one, and then go from there. And it's like, Just make it one big wheel, or just like a menu.
I thought it was pretty obvious which ones you'd already leveled, but I do agree that there were a couple of them that are not. Firstly, like switching not within one of those, because they're like little universes, right? They're like little galaxies that are floating near each other. Like within one galaxy, it was fairly easy to cycle around between the different upgrades, but actually switching between galaxies I thought was finicky. And then there were some upgrades that were kind of outside, that were not within any of those particular spheres, that I thought were really hard to reach, where I would just keep fumbling like, okay, left, right, up, like which way actually gets me to this particular upgrade. So I agree, it was weird navigating it. I don't know if I would like a list better. I just think if they fixed the navigation...
Well, that's what, I mean...
If they make it a little bit more relative, like which way you're pointing your thumbstick.
I mean, I think the way they did upgrades in Final Fantasy 15 was great, because it was just like, it's basically the same system, if you really think about it, but it just presented a cleaner menu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a spear grid in 15.
Yeah. My biggest complaint, at least about this one, that I hope they kind of fix, is like, all the materia switching. It's like, between every fight, I basically had to swap materia. And it's like, this is not, like, it wasn't like anything huge, but it was like more like elemental stuff. It's like, okay, well, this enemy is weak to ice. It's like, okay, the next boss is weak to fire. So I have to switch it out real quick. And, the 50th
Well, but that's the point, though. I think that was sort of the point. They wanted you, first of all, they didn't really want you to be looking at which boss you're fighting next, so you kind of knew beforehand. They wanted you to walk in and not be prepared. Right.
What I did was I went into the fight, cast Assess on it, figured out what, such resistance, and then reset the fight.
Well, yeah, but
I just tried to be prepared for things, based on which area. You don't have to switch materia out that much. It's really more the area, right? Like when you're in one of the Mako reactors, you want to have lightning because you're going to be fighting a lot of robots. So there are just certain things where, like, okay, this particular materia is going to carry me through this larger section, and then maybe I'm going to need a secondary materia for this one boss. Maybe only once or twice did I go into a boss fight and realize I didn't have what I needed and had to reset. Like most of the time, I had what I needed on me. I didn't really switch as frequently as Marc seems to imply you have to.
Well, I always kept elemental on Cloud's weapon. It really kicked me off when I got you basically only got one of those materia. Like, it would have been nice if everyone had that. We have to do all Chadley's quests, and it's like, if I'm going to grind out for 100 more hours, I can get the second one, but that's not going to happen.
I got the second one pretty quick.
Well, to get the second one, you have to get all of Chadley's stuff.
No, I got the second. You get the second one from the robot thing. When you're using the robot hand, like it's there in one of those, like hidden.
That's only the first one. There's only 2 in the game.
Yeah, but I must have gotten the Chadley thing much quicker than you then, because I had the second elemental pretty quick. Like, it didn't take that long for me to do. But
yeah, there's only 2. That's what I'm just reading right now.
Yeah, there's only 2.
There's one in Chapter 6. That's the robot hand crap, and then the other one is Chapter 14.
Yeah, Chapter 4, which I don't think has to do with Chadley. I think it has to do with something else. If I remember right, or is it,
That's the angel. I mean, I actually did that quest. It's the angel, guardian angel thing. I did that one, but I didn't get it. Or something.
I think it's hidden somewhere and you have to find it, or, but, yeah, I mean, I think, for the most part, the one thing I never had a complaint about, the way I dealt with what Marc was complaining about was, I just had certain elements stay with certain characters. And then I knew, okay, if I needed to have ice, well, I need to have Tifa's kind of the ice person, Cloud is my fire person, and wind person, and Barrett's the lightning person.
So what you're saying is Tifa's an ice queen?
But, yeah, like, I kind of had, and eventually, when we got enough material slots, I just kind of gave elementals to all of them. So I never really had to switch it out. So eventually, I know that's something you can't really do when you get to hard mode. You kind of have to think about your material a little bit more, because you can't just be spamming MP. But for the normal mode, I just did that. I had them all learn magic and all kind of be good at that. But I mean, I think for the most part, the one thing I never had to complain about with this game was gameplay. It was always fun. It was always engaging. It was the perfect decision. I think a lot of people were complaining about, oh god, I want my turn-based. And it's like, I don't think I hear anybody complain about the gameplay when you're done with this game. It's like, in fact, now I want every other Final Fantasy game to have this gameplay because it's the perfect marriage of having the turn-based system of still, okay, I gotta go through some of the menus and I gotta go through, picking my abilities and stuff. And I can also put them to shortcuts, but I'm actually attacking. I'm actually making the movements and doing the dodge rolls and blocking and all that stuff. So, like, I thought that was great. I know how do you guys feel about the whole, enemies can interrupt your magic attacks?
I wasn't a huge fan, but I guess it was fine. I guess I didn't mind magic. I mean, I was more annoyed by, like, limit breaks. Because sometimes an enemy just kind of walk away, and I'm like, wait, I was in the middle of animation.
That's funny when you just limit break into nothing.
Yeah. That happened with me with Tifa quite a bit, actually.
I didn't have
Tifa
that much
would
of an
kick
issue.
ass with her. I immediately changed all their limit breaks when they got to level 2. So I don't know if you guys did that or not. Like, her Dolphin Fury thing kicked ass.
I forgot to get Barrett's and Tifa's second one. So the one guide I read was like, oh, use Barrett's Catastrophe limit break. And I was like, wait, what? And then I forgot, like, should have said, like, hey, go back to the Coliseum and finish this up real quick.
No, those limit breaks are awesome. I equipped them as soon as I had them.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting how far they go with that, too.
Yeah, I don't really see very much that needs to change as far as the gameplay goes. I agree with you, Sean. I think it's pretty much perfect. I think Mark has a point that there are certain interface things that could be refined. But there's nothing egregious. Like if Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 came out and it was exactly the same systemically as Final Fantasy VII Remake, I would not complain.
Yeah, the one thing I would like to see changed, it would be interesting, is now that we're getting into the next stage of this world, and in the original, you could change your party members and stuff. It'd be really cool if we saw somewhat of a Final Fantasy X take to this, where you can swap out characters, where you can swap them out mid-battle. I mean, because we have a ton of material already, so you can already have these layouts. So, I mean, I don't know how technical that would be, but it would be really cool if you could just hit a button and all of a sudden you're switching Tifa out for Barrett because she needed a ranged attack or something. It would be. I think that would be cool.
Let me pose this. What do you guys think about a sword that makes you teleport around the arena?
See, I was so happy that all that teleporting stuff and like throwing your sword around and having to leaving battle to regen and all that stuff that was in 15 that they didn't do any of it because.
So let me pose two questions. How do you think Red 13 is going to play?
Like he did in the original game, like this.
Yeah.
Well, he's a close range fighter that can also.
Yeah, but in Remake, he's like jumping around and shit. I mean, like quite literally, like
I mean, you can do that with Tifa too. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
He'll have a jump across the battlefield.
Tifa's not running across walls,
Yeah, but that's you yourself pointed out in the previous show that Cloud can do stuff in cutscenes that he doesn't do in gameplay.
Yeah.
So I don't see how this is any.
And that's every video game ever.
Yes, exactly.
And the other question is what if they just said screw it and amped up the battles so you could play as all 5 characters?
That would be
amazing, but I don't know that.
It's going on the next gen.
I mean, that's the thing is, do you think 7R2 will be on PS4 or PS5?
Oh, it'll be on
PS5.
both.
Yes.
Well, I mean, maybe.
Oh, well, no, it depends, right? If we're talking about a year if we're talking about 2021.
I'd say 2021, it would be. It's talking 2022, maybe not. But then also, even if this game looked the same on a PS5, but it's hey, you get access to all 9 characters, and there's no slowdown.
I fully expect that they'll do a cross-gen kind of thing. I'm sure they've thought about this, the way they've planned out this trilogy or more, this series.
Well, depending on how much they've really planned out of it.
I mean, they must have known that it would span generations. So I'm hoping that they're the way they're building this and the way they're doing their assets is in such a way that the assets can carry forward with just higher fidelity, maybe, and that they could easily do a cross-gen version. Or a remake for next gen once next gen happens.
Right.
I hope they can do what Randy says, but I just feel like this is more of the way that we've seen Nomura do, and what we've seen them do kind of lately with Final Fantasy is we're just going to have I hope they don't. I hope that this is part of the whole, okay, we're moving away from Midgar. Now we do get to have a little bit of the changing your party and getting more freedom with your party, but I'm also worried about with having the chapter system, they will also still have the set teams of, okay, well, this is where we're going to have this team and that team. And yeah, I hope not, but I am worried that could still happen.
Randy, you had a thought?
Yeah, so my question is, are we going to get to this point where you start Final Fantasy VII Part 2, and everyone's going to be level 50, or do you just transfer your characters over, or does everyone reset at level 1? What do you think they're going to do with this?
I think it'll be both. Like, if you can bring in a new character or bring in your current save, that it'll start at 50. But if not, it'll probably start at like level 30 or something.
Yeah.
And it'll be like an MMO expansion. Like, they'll have like 10 more levels or like 20 more levels and like new abilities and stuff. But it's not going to be quite a big hill to climb. Also, I think, like, I don't know if you guys used it much, but like that enemy skill material was like useless, so they might have more of that.
Yeah,
they only
I
had like
that too.
4.
Yeah, 4. I got like 3 of them. And it's like,
well, the other one you get is in the hard mode when you hit the Marlboro, which I haven't done yet.
But yeah, they're like, because enemy skill in like the original games, you have like 30 skills or whatever, and this one you have 4.
Yeah, I think that was just a setup for the skill for later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you do. I think you will be transferring over your save just to make you feel like this a progression. But yeah, I think there will be some kind of a level reset or even a level upgrade. Or maybe they just let you take from where you are and just go, okay, well, your level cap's 70 now or whatever.
Yeah, but again, they've got to be planning for at some point in like 2024 or whatever, there's going to be, or later maybe, but there's going to be some kind of a complete edition where you're just going to play through all the Final Fantasy Remake games in succession and carry that stuff over.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I mean, they must have thought about that.
That's 10 years from now.
Right, but you got to lay the groundwork.
Yeah.
So I fully expect them to carry over your progress.
I wonder if there will be a time where that'll just be seamlessly all one game. And there will not be parts anymore. It will just be, by that point, you have bought all 4 of the discs or whatever 4 of the games, and it'll unlock it to where you can just play it all in one go or something. I don't know how they would do that, but are we even sure that we'll still be talking, like this won't go beyond PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X?
Really?
That's what I'm worried about. Like,
no, I think it'll stand PS5 or, that'll be the limit.
Yeah, I do worry about as bigger as the story gets. We do know how. I don't know that I trust Square Enix to be able to tell a cohesive story throughout however many games this is. I am a little bit worried about this falls off the rails.
I can assure you it's going to.
Oh, have faith.
Ever heard something called Kingdom Hearts?
Have faith.
I don't think it'll get that
like
far. Because you're talking about different, like, as long as we don't ever see a Final Fantasy VII Remake, Dirge of Cerberus, because the hell we wanted to do that, I think we'll be alright.
So, Randy, you're convinced that they have a plan for all this new stuff that they're doing with it, and have already thought completely through how it's gonna mesh with the original stuff. So they've got a story Bible, they've got it all laid out, they know what they're doing, is your position, right?
Yes. At least, like, clip notes.
Gotcha.
I mean,
I've been burned so many times by media that set up big mysteries or set up big arcs and then did not deliver on them.
Oh, all right. There is still a huge chance that whatever cliff notes they have get burnt, and they change.
I just think it's going to be so much harder for them because this is. Go ahead, sorry.
But I mean, as a wrestling fan, I know that through and through, things change. People's ideas change, but I think. With how much detail that they have in this first one, that they have a game plan for the rest of it.
Are we going to find out that Rikishi ran over Cloud in the car?
He did it.
I mean,
he did it for Sephiroth.
I think they might have. Well, I mean, they literally just said like a month ago or 2 weeks ago, "Hey, we're planning episode 2 or planning 7R2," and I'm just like, "What do you mean planning? Like, that's kind of scary when you say it like that." It's
well,
like,
They've supposedly been working on it since E3 of last year. But
yeah, obviously you have to plan on what things you're going to work on and stuff.
I think some of it was also they were waiting to see the reception to this game.
Yeah.
First, to see how many people would get upset about there is some fluctuation here. How many people are upset about the ending? How many people are, how many people start clamoring for, well, you better have this thing in the game. You better have
Listening to vocal fans is always, that's the beginning of the end for any, any kind of ongoing series.
No, I don't think that they're listening to them necessarily. I think it's more about just what is the overwhelming reception like? You know what I'm saying?
But you wouldn't want to backtrack from stuff that they just set up,
right?
You wouldn't want to polarize a Skywalker and undo a bunch of stuff that the movie before you did.
Well, I mean, they kind of did that with going from 8 to 9, so it's been proven. Well, I'm saying with going from whenever that was, The Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to do that in Final Fantasy. You wouldn't want to say the fans didn't like this part of what we're doing with Sephiroth, so let's change what Sephiroth's scheme is or what the meaning of the Whispers is or any of that stuff, right? That you wouldn't want to go back on that. Or you wouldn't want to write the Whispers out now just because there are some people who hate the Whispers.
Well, they're kind of written out. You defeated them.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, you kind of did change fate there. So
you think they're going to be completely gone? I cannot imagine them being completely gone.
I think if they make a second one, when they make a second one, I think they'll be vastly less important. Like they might pop up 1 or 2 sequences. That'll be about it.
But again, if the Whispers are not
game.
there, well, I completely. I was not a huge fan, but I feel like they're committed now. And if you don't have the Whispers, is the story going to diverge way more now?
I don't know if you need the Whispers. I think the point was that you beat them, you change fate. The other stuff that happens in the next... I think for one, first of all, there's just too many of those little towns that there's going to be things that either they skip over or, they're going to do, where they're more in, hub areas and you're not going to every single little town that was on that overworld map.
You could just do a linear section. You could just do a Final Fantasy 13 style.
That's what I think
go from town to town.
Yeah.
You're just for a while you're on a track while you're doing all the little towns, and then you get back from the little towns into one of the big towns, and then
I think the bigger towns will be the areas that are the side quest areas in this game. It'll be Zunon and Golden Saucer, and I think it'll be fucking calm, or it'll be Nibelheim or Nibelheim, whatever it's called.
Yeah. You think we'll go to all those towns?
I think for at least a chapter. I mean, but that's why I say the game will be huge or it'll take forever because I think there are 1 or 2 towns that it's no one's going to care about. But I think Final Fantasy VII has such a heritage or such a nostalgia for most people that people are going to be outraged about I couldn't pilot the busted ship under the water for the 10 minutes you actually do that in the game.
Yeah, I couldn't do the CPR minigame. Oh wait, well that'll be in there probably, but I'm just making it. Yeah, it is gonna be. That's gonna be so hard for them. Of what do we choose to put in this? Do we wind up having to go back and let you be able to do that part in the next game because you couldn't do it in this game? Or is it skipped entirely? Do they start adding DLC that lets you do these things because they couldn't fit it into the game? That's what I'm worried about is how big is this going to wind up becoming? Because Midgard was such a linear slice that they could just expand upon. When you start going into these, what was an open world that you spent, some of these towns you didn't spend very much time in, but people are going to want to be able to visit them. How do they handle that? That's going to be, I think, the biggest thing of all of them.
Yeah. My ultimate theory is that, whenever the game is finished and they actually reveal the big actual Whisper boss, it'll be the Nier Automata DLC where it's just going to be the Square Enix CEO. You could face him.
No, it's going to be Mickey.
Yeah.
Bring it back full circle.
No, yeah, Mickey. Can you imagine?
Or actually, it would probably have to be maybe Donald is behind it, since he is the most powerful wizard in all of Square.
Yeah,
It'll be Squall from Final Fantasy VIII because no one liked him.
That'll just be like, oh, now this all connects to Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
Well, there is theories that the Promised Land is Final Fantasy X.
Oh God. Isn't there people from? Okay, there's definitely people from 13, right? That are working on this. Isn't there people from 10 that are also working on this as well? So like Navy.
Yeah, a lot of the 10 team is also the 13 team, right?
Yeah, I mean, because there's definitely there's already been a proven that there's a lot of clouds look that comes from lightning. So we'll see.
Well, lightning was always meant to be a kind of a female cloud, I guess.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they kind of go back and forth between those two characters. I would love to see Lightning again in something. Put her in a Kingdom Hearts game.
I mean, there is a lot of you got the stagger system from 13, you got a lot of the linearity from 13, there is a lot of 13 in that game. So, I mean, and there's a lot of 15 as well in there, but I will say, I really appreciate it. There's a lot of people that do not like the 13 games and don't like the 15 game, and they took a lot of what made those games good and put that all into this game. So props to that team, I guess, for that. And,
totally agreed.
And of course the music, where would we be without,
so good.
Even though a lot of them are variations on the same.
I mean, to me, yeah,
themes.
that was it. That was my thought. This is better quality Final Fantasy VII music.
Man, some of the stuff, okay, of course not everything is leaked on YouTube, but some of the stuff that's leaked on YouTube from that set, I've been listening to that new version of One Winged Angel 2-3 times a day now. I mean, I've heard it 100 times since that game came out.
No, I mean, I even like the theme song that they made only for this game, that I think it's the only Uematsu work.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty awesome.
That's new.
So.
Yeah. That's really good. All the new stuff, I'm not as crazy about the stuff that's all new, which is basically the music that underscores the whisper sequences. That's where most of the new score is. That's not an adapted work. And it feels way more like modern film music to me than the rest of it. It doesn't feel quite, as classic as the stuff that's based on the old themes.
Oh,
kind of reminds me a little bit of
some of the stuff that's based on the old themes.
Brian Tyler.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anything that they're doing where they're adapting the old stuff is fantastic. And it's not the new music's not bad. It's just all it all sounds kind of Brian Tyler like if you know who Brian Tyler is.
I do.
The way he writes action music, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from the Whispers music.
Yeah, but I never had, there were so many times I'm just totally pumped, getting ready for this, awesome music that's coming on. Let's go, let's kill this boss. But, I mean, the Airbuster fight, when that thing comes on, it's oh God, here we go. This feels awesome, It's I think they just nailed that. There's so much they could have done wrong, and they absolutely nailed all the variations on the battle theme. It's amazing how many of those that they made. It feels like they made 10 or 20 of those, and each one of them sounds awesome. So, I love the collecting the music into the jukebox.
Yeah, except I missed one.
I missed one too. I don't know where the hell it is.
I think it was number 7, and it's talk to the old woman in chapter 14, and I was where? Chapter 14 is the biggest zone, so it's where do I have to go to talk to that person?
I think that's the one I missed too, number 7, yeah.
I figured you'd buy it and went to the Shinra building, one of the, vending machines or whatever.
But I guess overall, if you're gonna put a rating on the game now that we've all have finished it, where are you at with that?
Who wants to go first?
Well, Randy, you were the first one that finished it.
Well, I would solidly go 9.5, but we don't do points, so I will probably say a 9. It has some issues in the game, Me personally, I think it's one of my favorite games of all time. But if I'm looking at it critically, there are some things I would have liked to see changed in it. Some pacing moments that would have been a little bit better. Fantastic game though, so I'd give it a 9, only because we don't do the point system anymore.
Yeah, that's where I went, was a 9. It's a fantastic game. It's everything I wanted from the Final Fantasy VII Remake. You got all the characters are improved. You learned a lot more about the game. I absolutely have a treasure now for Biggs, Jesse, and Wedge that I didn't even really care about them at all from the original game. It's like, all the little interactions, I think the side quests might be the only thing that I had an issue with. That sometimes they kind of wore on you, and I think like there's some improvements like with the map that isn't as easy to understand at times, but just for a game that has absolutely flawless gameplay, wonderful music, characters that you remember and were somehow made better. It's just, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Let me ask you then. The question would be, we can get to Yenzo's rating in a second, but like, what do you think a person who didn't play the original Final Fantasy VII would think?
I think the story is a bigger problem for them.
We talked about the Sephiroth stuff, and that's the biggest problem. But you just talked about it's great since you have all these characters that you remember and stuff. But
there's nothing wrong with the Sephiroth stuff for newcomers because it's just a mysterious thing that sets you up for.
I think as somebody that has seen it, a lot of people are wondering who the hell Sephiroth is. That have not played that game. They don't understand who he is. They don't understand, the whispers make no sense to them because they don't have that nostalgia of why you would need.
Okay. How long did people put up with the smoke monster from Lost not being, people don't have a problem with putting up with these kind of mysteries in fiction. As long as you have faith that it's going to be paid off eventually.
I never saw Jack take on the smoke monster with a sword before, so.
I know, but that's something that could have happened by the time that show was over. By the time they're having a fist fight in a cave over a magical artifact, it might as well be a sword.
Or the stupid switch.
The only sword that can slay the smoke monster. No, but you know what I mean. People, we're so used now to serialized fiction that strings us along for a long time, where mysterious and unexplained things happen, that we just have faith are going to be meaningful at some point. That, I think as far as a thing that builds intrigue and makes you wonder about Sephiroth and makes you interested in the next game, I think that stuff could play perfectly well. Of course, it's hard to judge, but I don't know, my perspective may be closer to what you're asking because it has been, again, it's been so long since I played FF7. I barely remember FF7 other than a couple of highlights. So it really was as if I was playing a new game most of the time. And I loved it, so much. 90% of my time with this game, I would have rated this game a 10. And the other 10%, I was in chapter 14, walking around the map, cursing at myself for not knowing where the hell to go. So I guess I could deduct the point for that. The fact that there is some stuff with the map and the side quests that's a little frustrating. But if it wasn't for that, it would be a 10 for me. But I guess I'm going to go with a 9 like everybody else.
I was going to give it an 8.
Okay.
I'm the one who finished the latest or finished it 2 days ago or yesterday or whatever. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the more annoying parts stuck with me longer or fresher in my view. Mm-hmm. Chapter 14, and I thought I see why they did chapter 17. I see why it was fun, I guess, but I just think it went on for too long. Mm. And some of the boss fights, I just the boss fight, the stupid motorball thing. I died on that thing twice. I was getting pissed. If I don't
you can't say a boss fight's bad because you sucked at it.
And you just I didn't think it was a big. You slash at the tires, then it becomes vulnerable, then you slash at the body. You just have to kind of avoid it when it does the big sweeping attack.
Yeah, but I felt like the controls in that part in particular were bad or were different than chapter 4, which it was kind of weird to me. I'm I know it played the same, but it just doesn't feel quite as snappy as it did before.
It's not that it's. I don't agree with that. I think it's more that you've just got less space to maneuver.
I thought you actually had more because the freeway was bigger, but
okay.
But I mean, yeah, I liked it. And,
it just seems like it is way harder to dodge that boss than it is to dodge everything.
Yeah,
you've got to dodge grenades, and like even before you get to the Roche, there's a lot of like kind of grenades that you have to dodge, and little drones that are shooting lasers that you have to dodge, and it just seems like that's way easier to do because you've got more space to maneuver. Even if the road is narrower, I would not remember that, whether or not it is. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't feel more sluggish to me. It just felt like you had less room to get out of the way.
Well, because the boss was way bigger too. That was
exactly. He's a big thing that takes up most of the road.
Yeah. Also, the handgasm thing was a little weird. Not gonna lie.
What?
Handgasm.
Handgasm.
The Madam M giving you the finger massage and Cloud getting off on it.
Oh, you don't get. I mean, come on. He's not getting off. He's just having a pleasurable massage. You know what a good massage feels like.
No, I had visions of Office Space with that guy talking about the O face. I'm like,
no, that was just a really, really nice, deep, relaxing massage for Cloud. I did not. There was no handsy. I don't think there was a happy ending. Let's put it that way.
That was a happy ending.
Nope. Perfectly on the up and up. That's like she didn't give him a sponge bath even, like in Red Dead 2.
Well,
I mean, she kind of does if you ask for it.
Well, everybody got the deluxe one, I'm assuming, because why wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, exactly. Why wouldn't you at that point? Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up? Everybody gave their rating?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hope that we're not waiting crazy long time before we get something on part 2, at least, to know where they're headed or some information on where that story's gonna flow. Maybe not get a complete ending, because there's a lot about this game that I give them that I appreciate, that there was a lot that we didn't know about, so I appreciate that they kept a lot of that stuff hidden, and hopefully they can do the same as we go on. I do hope one thing that comes out of this is maybe we get at least a Crisis Core remaster or something on the new consoles.
I mean, I would take it as kind of this is an HD upscale, but I mean that game was a PSP.
Yeah, like they did with Type 0.
Yeah, I mean they kind of they did work on that one at least.
Yeah, it was a kind of a quasi remake.
Because I feel like that game is a lot more important than it used to be now, along with the Advent Children and I mean I don't know how many people remember playing Dirge of Service or how much of anything is in there from that game. But
I don't think anything will be in there from that game.
Maybe once you get to Vincent.
Yeah. People won't have a fondness for that game. I don't, not necessarily at least.
Yeah, isn't Dirge of Service regarded as kind of the biggest embarrassment?
Yes,
in the series,
basically.
Really.
Yeah.
No, because there's still Final Fantasy 14. But
what? Oh,
no. I meant. Okay, right. I meant in the realm of Final Fantasy VII. But yes, you're right. As far as the overall series goes, the launch of 14 was. I
mean, I actually think
sad.
If you're going to talk about that, I might actually say Advent Children.
Really?
Because of how nonsensical the plot is, and it's just building up to this big stupid anime fight sequence at the end.
That's stupid.
What
the best part of the whole
fight scene.
Yeah,
I mean, in the original, that was the best part of the damn movie. Because that was the only thing that made sense.
Well, yeah, it's the only thing that was interesting. That's the thing.
Watch the complete edition. It's better.
Yeah, I have the complete edition. It's makes much more sense. Much more sense.
I just placed an order for that on eBay.
Nice.
Yeah, it is out of print, unfortunately. The really fancy, it's like $40.
Oh.
But there's actually there's a CE of that's going for 115, which would be nice, but no, I'm just going to get the regular one.
I have the Blu-ray of that. I think I found that at a pawn shop for $10.
Nice. Yeah, I feel I've got to be maybe I'm going to become a completionist now when it comes to Final Fantasy VII. I don't really own any of that stuff right now.
You're better off.
Stop it.
You're better off.
Stop it, Mark.
Although I think you should actually play Core Crisis. Not Core Crisis.
Crisis
4. That is the one game that's really good.
Yeah, plus the battle system's cool in that game too.
Yeah.
I could probably just get it digitally played on the Vita if I really wanted to.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Or get a PS TV, I guess.
Yeah, is that too?
Yep, got both of those.
I actually had that game. I got a physical copy of that game. I got it from a friend. Is
Well,
it online? Is it on digital?
I think it is available digitally.
Let's see. PlayStation Store Crisis.
I mean, I would assume it would be, but
Okay, there's a theme. There's a game. Yep, let's see. See it in action. Oh, wait. This is an entry for the Why No Crisis Core on the PSN Store. Question on Reddit from a year ago. Wow, it may not be. It's Crisis Core. Oh, it's not.
yeah, I didn't think it was.
Huh. All right, so yeah, I guess I can't
Have fun
play it that
downloading
way.
the bootleg of it. And
Well,
then
yeah, you
put
can
that.
download the
Yeah.
ROM, I guess.
I don't have a correct PSP.
Well, there's an emulator, there's an Android PSP emulator. You can play it on that thing if you really want to do. But
I suppose. You know what? All right, I'll wait for. They're going to reissue that.
Yeah, I feel like they are. I feel like they're waiting, because that's just going to make them some money, and then put it on PC or something as well, like they do with almost everything else.
Yep.
So, alright, well, that's going to be it here. We talked a lot about Final Fantasy VII Remake, so we'll see how it continues to shake out as we get these new next-gen systems. And yep, if you are waiting for it to show up on Xbox or PC, you'll be having to wait till April 10th of 2021 just to play that game. But all of you that have been able to enjoy it, let us know what you think. W2network@gmail.com. You can hit each one of us up at Randy Isbelle, at Our Picture Silence, at Humanity Plague, at WTM Sean, at W2 Network for the whole thing. And we'll be back on Saturday morning with a regular edition of the show. And let's see what else gets announced in these crazy times that's going on. Until then, thank you for everybody joining us here. It was fun. And we'll see you later, everybody.
Thank you, Sean.
Later.